Uh, Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you also, Admiral Schultz, for your service and your answers to this point. I'm a 24-year Army veteran, but also a commissioner for my Wapello County veterans, and our director is a Coastie, so you're well represented in our locality. You've heard about the crisis and the cartels at the border, but I'm going to turn our attention to a little bit different part of the globe. It's imperative that the United States counter the People's Republic of China's or the Chinese Communist Party's growing influence and ambitions as evidenced in its Polar Silk Road efforts. What is the Coast Guard doing to augment the development and deployment of maritime domain awareness technologies as well as surface presence capabilities in the Arctic?
Thank you for the question, and I'm glad we have a Coast Guardsman that's tied into the Veterans Organization up there. That is fantastic, and thanks for acknowledging that individual. Then we are absolutely part of the conversation on how do you temper war in a great power competition, national security strategy. We find ourselves, national defense strategy. We bring a lot to that. You know, the Coast Guard was written in. We did a tri-service maritime strategy, Advantage at Sea, with the CNO, Admiral Gilday, the Commandant Marine Corps, Dave Berger, myself. We put that out last fall. That talks about the increasingly important role where the Coast Guard fits into the deployment of integrated all-domain naval power across the globe. We've been a Pacific-based Coast Guard for more than 150 years. I believe when you talk about the One Belt, One Road, the Polar Road, Silk Road, all those different Chinese initiatives, what we bring is a people-to-people relationship difference. You know, out in Oceania, the Pacific Island nations, Federated States of Micronesia, the CNMI, that region of the world, you know, these nations derive 50% plus of their gross domestic product from the ocean. They have very little enforcement capabilities. They are subject to illegal fishing, IUUF fishing by powerful distant water nation states, the most worst aggressors being the Chinese there. What we can do is come in and we can capacity build. We can help them understand the threats to their ecosystems. We can help them develop their law enforcement capabilities. We can partner with the Australians, have a patrol boat program. We can work with the Australians on training, on maintenance. We have deployed national security cutters. National security cutter Kimball came back from operations out near Fiji recently. We have 3 fast response cutters. These are new patrol boats that I will be commissioning in Guam here in the coming weeks. They have 10,000-mile expeditionary range, so we can get out and do things with those boats that we couldn't do with their predecessors, the Island class patrol boats. We're renaming our sector in Guam as really forces forward deployed in Guam, because they are increasingly part of this conversation about how do you temper an increasingly aggressive, antagonistic, coercive China. And I believe what we bring, ma'am, as the United States Coast Guard, a recognized world-class Coast Guard, is we bring a credible voice. And when we say Coast Guards, you know, what I see the Chinese government using their Coast Guard as the actioning arm in the South China Sea and the East China Sea. Their PLAN Navy sort of stays at a distance. It's the Chinese Coast Guard, the People's Maritime Militia, that's used to run down Vietnamese, Indonesian fishermen in disputed spaces. We can come in and say, hey, the world's best Coast Guards don't operate that way. We follow modern maritime governance. We follow the international rules-based order. I believe that's what we bring, man. We don't bring a ton of capacity, but strategically utilized, you know, some deployments, the authorities building a like-minded coalition of partner nations, NGOs, academia on this IUUF fishing threat. I think the Coast Guard is an absolute critical enabler to that whole of government fight in this great power model we find ourselves, man.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, I yield the balance of my time to Representative Guest.